Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
What's going on, SML? New episode of First and Goal. This week we've got MMX without his Mahomes get up. I guess they missed the playoffs and he's done with that. Trick, and first time anybody's seeing him, but there's Nightcrawler, Toto, Sinzilla, Foreskin, whatever else you want to call him. There he is. What's going on, guys? It's 8 o'clock tonight, night before the storm. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
All right.
Good.
All right.
Nice and not cold in California.
Yeah, I was going to say, you're probably the only one not even a little bit affected by this, but you'll probably get a fire or something. So
It's like 45 and it's cold. So.
yeah, but the ground doesn't stop shaking. Q said he's already had like 3 earthquakes. So
Yeah, I don't get many of those up here.
all right, so we'll jump right into this. First topic, and Trick, you were involved in this, so I'm going to start with you on this one. We had the game with you and Slice, Furf, whatever he's called today. You guys disconnected, 92 seconds left with you winning and had the ball. You guys eventually settled on the force win. What do you think the etiquette is for the situation like that? Should it be something that gets taken care of immediately or pushed off to the next day like it was?
I tried floating it to him that we could take care of it that night. It was, real late for him. He was, generous to play in something that was a little more convenient to my time schedule. I think he had some stuff going on that day anyways. But with how late it was for him, he wasn't in the position to try and recreate that night. I understand that in most situations, it's best to try and take care of it ASAP, especially with such little time left. And that kind of made it a unique situation for our game too. With, it was a minute and 30 to go approximately, and it was a close game. And him and I have always had close games. But after talking with him, we settled on the force win for me since I was up and I was ahead for most of the game. So,
All right. And we'll go to you, MMX. What do you think about that? How would you have handled it, or what do you think how those should be handled?
Ostensibly you want to take care of that, like you said, first thing. But if that's not good, then it really depends on what the opponent thinks. When it comes to like disconnects and desyncs, usually it's I always think the team that's leading gets to make the decision. And I made a rule, like if you're up by 21 in the first quarter, make a, I'll let the leading team make a decision. Then 14-7-3. That's just a guideline I use to say, okay, do we want to continue this? This almost happened when I was leading Doink in week 1 when I beat him 31-28. 30 seconds left. I was QB kneeling and we almost had a desync. I'm like, oh boy, I don't want that to happen. But I would normally call for a free win there. It depends on how much the leading team is up.
Okay. And Nightcrawler, what do you think?
Yeah, so I went back and looked at the game because I didn't really get a chance to see it, but Trick was up with about 6 points, I think, with a minute 30 left when the DC happened. And it was also 3rd and 2 at the time,
Yeah.
and Slice had all 3 timeouts, but he wasn't calling them yet. And if Trick converts that, then you're probably looking at like a minute 28 on the clock or something with the first timeout being used. So I don't know. I feel like with only a minute 30 left, maybe you just got to load back in there and just recreate that scenario, that 3rd and 2. And if he converts, then that's kind of pretty much game right there.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, he could have, I guess, used his timeouts and then had about, 20 seconds left, something like that.
But I mean, it also goes back to what Trick was saying. If Slice was like being kind enough to play on his time and stuff, then it kind of gets into a little bit iffy situation to where it was taken care of the next day. So I don't really know. For me personally, I would have just liked to load it in and just recreate it and get it over with real quick. Just put a minute 30 up and just pay attention to the clock and
see what you could do because technically the game wasn't over yet either. He could have stopped him right
Yeah.
there on third down.
Yep. All right. Topic 2. This was a big one. This kind of I feel like this was huge, and it kind of got overlooked maybe a little bit because of the timing of it. But so Doink got busted using a glitch in the scouting. If anybody didn't read the article, basically you can look and see what it says about the player's discipline. It tells you whether he's superstar, star, or X Factor, normal. In my opinion, that ruined every draft. Like, I mean, Trick, you're in primer, so you see what we're going through now. Same thing we did in SML, where basically it just created more work. So what are your thoughts on that situation? Him getting everybody bumped to normal and losing a first round pick in the upcoming draft, and then just the situation as a whole. What do you think about that, MMX?
So knowing his transgressions here, I'm glad that I beat him in week 1, Carolina versus Seattle, 31-28. Um, and it always falls. I mean, you have to have some level of integrity when it comes to doing this. EA is going to EA. Um, it's disappointing that I mean, there's always going to be a glitch out there that I'm unaware of, and it's frustrating to see that happen. And knowing as little as I do about the draft picks and all of these who to pick where, it just makes it even a tougher struggle for those of us that are kind of not as keen on the sticks as other people. So it's frustrating, and wish there was just a little bit more integrity there.
All right. Trick, we'll go to you next.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's obviously it's a clear glitch. You can go in a test franchise and fire up and draft all the guys that say, oh, hey, they don't make penalties, and oh, look, they're X Factor or superstar. Um, when it's an obvious exploit like that, I feel it's something that needs to be punished, and it ruins the game for everyone because now it's like, for me, I drafted an X Factor tight end. I didn't know he was, I didn't look at his scouting report and see that he doesn't make penalties, but now I lost my X Factor tight end. I got lucky in the lotto and got some other guys to superstar, but um, it just sucks when you exploit something like that due to EA lazy coding or whatever they want to chalk it up as. But if it's something like, I feel like a Madden or two ago, it's like, oh, hey, if you had a defensive tackle over, 375 pounds, he was going to be a hidden dev or something. Or, the storylines I feel like used to mean something. I don't know if they
Yeah.
still do. And if they had a good storyline, oh, hey, but that was information available to everyone and you didn't have to go looking on Reddit. I don't even know how you come across that information. It's, oh, this file came across my desk. No, that's something you have to go looking for, especially with seeing how little changes they make to franchise all the time. It seems like something that's been in the game for a while. So then you have to kind of look and, okay, well, Doink Doink drafted pretty good last year, last cycle when he was the Jets. I played him a lot. I'm not accusing him that he knew it then, but it's hard to know
Yeah. And
how
we've
long
had
it's
guys
been
that have
there.
been accused of knowing something without
Mhm.
anybody else knowing. So
Yeah.
it does make you wonder. All right, Toto, you sent pick number 1 because you panicked when everything came out, and I don't know how your draft ended up going. I don't think you got much of anything. What are your thoughts on this?
I mean, yeah, obviously using any type of exploit is it's just not good to do because the whole integrity of the league comes into question at that point of like how many people knew about this? Was he the only guy? How many seasons has he been doing it? And then it cost people X Factor players, superstars. And with me, the thing is yeah, the guy overall I was going to take, number one, still ended up being normal. But because all this information came out, and at the time I was only using the information in front of me with what Prime said, I made an emotional decision and traded away my picks because I was just like, well, there's no point of me even drafting number one if I'm not going to get an X Factor or superstar player. Like I'm already like at the bottom of the list of players in the league. Like I don't win. So it's hard for me to develop guys. And if I can just get lucky every now and then and get an X factor or superstar in the draft, that might help me out. But when that information came out, I was just like, I just gotta move these picks and just stack up for next year's draft and see what happens there.
Yeah. Well, the good news is I can tell you with pretty much confidence that that X factor wouldn't have mattered. You'd be okay. You'd still be just as bad. All right. So we're gonna go on. We'll start with you this time. So third down. Looking back at the team draft, where we're at right now. Now I know you didn't pick your team, but who do you think maybe they're looking? We're season 5, I think now. I think we're on season 5. Oh, damn, we're more than halfway. All right, so we're on season 5. Looking back, is there anybody you think maybe is like looking at their team pick, going, I think I screwed up, and who is it, and who do you think they should have taken?
I don't think anybody necessarily picked the wrong team, but I would say overall, just coming from Primer and how our little team draft went, I would have honestly liked to see you take the Falcons, Bomber. I think you would have been real good with them with Bijan back there because you already took the Browns, who kind of already were having young players and running
Yeah.
backs, and Atlanta's in the same position, and you would have just traded for a quarterback anyway. And then you would have had Kyle Pitts for a few seasons. You would have had a young D line and a few young guys in the secondary, and I think you would have been. If the divisions laid out how they would have laid out, because I don't know what it would have looked like when you took Atlanta early, but I think you would have just been dominating the division.
Yeah, it would have been fun to take them. I think what held me back on them was no first round pick.
Yeah.
Trick, what about you? You were here for the draft. Who do you think there's anybody maybe regretting it?
I don't know if there's anybody necessarily regretting it. Um, we get this far in, and it's kind of what you've done with your team. Some things I would have liked to seen differently. Prime's taken the stacked Lions, and he's won 1,700 games already and been to every Super Bowl. Um, looking at the list here, I would like to see KP maybe take someone else other than the Colts, and maybe Mike gets the Colts, and
Yeah.
I don't know, see him how he does with his Colts. But I don't know, maybe he's going to run from Dan. I don't know. Um, some others on the list, I've got Tug took the Broncos right in front of me, and I really wanted the Broncos. So if he took someone else, would have left the Broncos for me, and then I could have beat up on Raider fan twice a year for taking the Raiders, since I didn't get them. Just a couple guys I would have liked to seen picked differently, but I think it all shook out for the best, and now we're at GM mode and seeing how we do with what we were dealt.
All right. MMX, how about you?
Well, I know one individual who should have taken another team, and that was Doink, because if he would have taken another team, he wouldn't be experiencing a 31-28 loss in week 1 to Carolina. Um, I guess Prime is the most, I mean, it's Detroit. I mean, they're pretty much stacked, and you got the best user in the league. I would have preferred he taken the Berlin Thunder or someone else from NFL Europe. I mean, at least give us the rest of us a chance. The Saints, last pick, not nice. He probably should have just went back to Primer and tried again next edition. But in all seriousness, I think my answer here is you, Bomber. The Browns. I mean, that's tough. You're obviously having success, but I think you'd have a little bit more playoff success with a little bit better team. Maybe someone like the Texans, or someone with a really strong defense to start off. I mean, you're going to build them up anyway to uh, to heights that they've never seen in the NFL. But I think that was my most um, the pick that I saw the most out of all the draft picks.
Yeah, I don't mind taking a bad team and kind of building them, especially one that's young. But and when Meats took the Ravens, that took the wind out of my sails there. All right, so we'll start with Trick here. Fourth down. And this one's, I know maybe you guys haven't been around too long to see these guys in their peak, but we saw both QP and Dump. They've rejoined mid-cycle. So both had a little bit of time off. Everybody kind of gave them the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, these guys are rusty. That's why they're not doing good. But now we're seeing Dump kind of turn it on. He just beat Stavo. He's doing really well. And on the other side of the coin, though, we've seen QP lost to Fig. Somehow Fig missed an extra point just last night that would have sent it to overtime. Maybe he's looking for an elite speed wide receiver. I don't know how you miss an extra point. But what do you think is kind of going on there? Why, Dump's having success, seems to be shaking off the rust. QP's been back even longer and not quite going the right direction. Seems to be getting worse. Trick, what do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think it just comes down to the difference in gameplay, really, from last cycle to this cycle. From what I recall, defense was a little more prevalent last cycle, and I mean, if you can't play defense, you're only playing offense, and if you make an offensive mistake, then you're kind of putting yourself behind the ball. I know QP's got the weapons in Kansas City to have an elite offense, but I don't know, maybe he just hasn't found his stride yet. Maybe the game is just different enough, or he hasn't been able to adjust his team to exactly how he likes it. As far as Dump, I don't remember him exactly lighting the world on fire down in Primer. But again, as he's getting more hours under his belt on the new game, and he's in a very competitive division, and iron sharpens iron. So I think that's helping him a little bit get up to speed now that he's back in SML.
All right, MMX, what do you think?
I'm not too familiar with these two, but I will say Dump, as you had mentioned at the top, he just beat Stavo. I think he's going to be fine. His user defense does need a little bit of work, though, but that's the pot calling the kettle black, because I think everyone needs some help with defense these days. And I was watching that game between Dump and Stavo because it put me in first thanks to my 31-28 win over Seattle in week 1. But QP, it would certainly help his case if he had a full roster and he wasn't constantly breaking ratio and losing Patrick Mahomes for 2 games, 3 games, what have you. He certainly puts himself behind the 8 ball. And just knowing the little I know about him, he was touted, I mean, for sure. So I was like going into both of those games like that I played him really nervous, but he's always been, it's either been a blizzard or Mahomes has been suspended. So it kind of gave me a 1-up, and I shouldn't beat QP, but again, one of those he had a control over, the other one he didn't. I think he'll be okay. He just got to run the ball. Run the ball, you'll be fine.
All right, and Toto, you've seen him a couple times. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, both of these guys are in a pretty tough division with at least one player in their division not being that great. But QP, I think Father Time's just catching up to QP. I don't think he really has it like that anymore, and I think he's starting to struggle, and maybe he just doesn't have that competitive fire in him anymore. And then opposite of Dump, I think Dump might start getting into the groove here and start winning some games, and you just don't know what could happen over there with Prime and Hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so that's going to do it. Trick with 72, Nightcrawler with 73, and the winner tonight, MMX with 86 points. And I don't know if you guys heard, but he beat the Seahawks this year. I don't know if anybody heard that, but a little birdie told me. So MMX, these 10 or so seconds are all yours.
I was only going to mention it 4 times. I'll mention it a 5th. I did beat him 31-28. But I wanted to just take a quick break and say, we can all tout, Prime, Bomber, Dan, who do great, but it's really the people on the bottom of the SML that really make this league great. Nightcrawler, I'm sorry, I got to point you out. You're on the bottom of the league standings. Death Wish, myself, ZBD for now, and Not Nice. I mean, you take your lumps and you keep on kicking. So shout out to you guys. You guys are what make this league great and continue to make it great. So thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching, guys. This has been First and Goal.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.